Good morning, gentlemen of the press. This press conference is titled Re-Governance on Permanent Vacation in Edo State. Where is Governor Godwin Obaseki? We have requested your presence this morning to lament an unfortunate and deprecable ambience in our dear state. The outgoing governor of Edo State, Mr. Godwin Obaseki, in between his swashbuckling threats to APC members and placating the members of his divided party, the PDP, who have since turned him into an ATM machine in a smash and grab stratagem before the curtains are finally drawn on his lackluster 4-year term, has completely forgotten one important fact: that he remains the governor of Edo State, even if for a few more months more, and that from that point of view, the suspension of governance and leadership of any state, even for a moment, is inexcusable and unacceptable, not even for reasons that border on electoral purposes. As it is today, Edo State is driven on autopilot. Matters of governance in Edo State, which was the primary ratiocination while the governor was elected, which in any case have been hearing before handled with Olympian aloofness and magisterial pontifications, have now been completely abandoned, jettisoned, and forgotten completely, as the outgoing governor has turned his attention full-time on how to subvert the September 19th election through rigging, intimidation, arm twisting, unbridled threats, violence, and other anti-democratic, Mephistophelian, Machiavellian, and underhand tactics. As the prime and non-parallel courier of news, you need no reminding that what we are now regaled with from Osadebe Avenue, the seat of Edo State government, which in the meantime houses Mr. Godwin Obaseki, are reports of conflicts over the illegal sharing of state resources, turbocharged comments encouraging the youth to embrace violence, and mass resignations which have bespattered the government and reduced governance to a Makosa dance and an Alawada cabaret show. While Mr. Governor continues to huff and puff, promote and nudge Edo youths onto the path of violence with a contrived megalomania meant to hide his crippling fear of what awaits him at the polls on the 19th of September, governance in Edo State has been abandoned, and Edo State citizens are bearing the brunt of this governance nosedive and total abandonment. Yet, this tragedy and fiasco of leadership playing out before us all is coming at a time the state, and indeed the globe, is experiencing the greatest challenge in a lifetime. You will recall that a few weeks ago, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, issued a warning to the Edo State government to begin an immediate initiation of proactive measures, because Edo State, our dear state, was among the highly probable flood risk states based on the predictions of the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, and the Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency, NISA. To bring this to the awareness of the outgoing government and force action, we responsibly and timeously delivered a press conference, raising alarm on the genuineness of heeding the warnings and objurgations of NEMA and commencing immediate steps into protecting the lives and properties of our people in the identified flood-prone areas. Unfortunately and lugubriously so, the rain fast approaches, and the Edo State government has done nothing. The sprinkles we have seen since the warning have already shown signs of a looming calamity. Yet, instead of committing funds to the relocation of our people in these areas, where the waters are already perilously gathering, Mr. Governor Obaseki has rather chosen to continue sharing Edo State's money to tax collectors, whilst governance has been completely abandoned and now running on deprecable autopilot. We insist and request the good people of Edo State to bring it to the attention of the governor that politics of electioneering must not be prioritized over and above the lives of Edo State citizens. Weeks ago, Blueprint Media Organization, just like some other credible, responsible organizations, in its online website, published a report with the title, Insecurity, Edo's Worrisome Harvest of Murders, where it chronicled and offered a glimpse into the murderous crimes on the rise in Edo State. Even though we have repeatedly raised alarm on the level of insecurity in Edo State, the state government have only continued to pay lip service to security issues. They have rather chosen to adopt a lackluster, Olympian aloofness attitudinal predilection to matters that encourages insecurity. We have said it for the umpteenth time that it is morally unconscionable and represents a security black spot for the outgoing governor to cut away 700 million naira security votes and allowance to the police and pay allowance to the police of only 5 million naira in paltry sum. This is quite important, and I will go through it again. We have said it for the umpteenth time that it is morally unconscionable and represents a security black spot for the outgoing governor of Edo State to collect oodles of sums of money bordering on about 750 million naira a month as security vote, only to pay a paltry sum of 5 million naira to the police. Our pleas of an immediate increase and back payments to the police have not been heeded to. We call on Governor Obaseki to forthwith increase the monthly security allocation of the police from a paltry 5 million naira to something more reasonable. One of the fundamental business of any serious and responsible government is the protection of life and property. It is a constitutional onus probandi. So an ambience where a sitting governor will collect over 750 million naira in security vote monthly and give out only 5 million naira to the police for maintenance of security is unacceptable, it's unreasonable, and we cry against it, we deprecate it, and we poo-poo it. As other state governments continue to hold marathons of meetings with professionals and seasoned policy makers to align with the federal government and shut a way out of the negative consequences of COVID-19 and its necessary restrictions on the economy, education, and other aspects of life, the Edo State government is instead obsessed with holding of night meetings on ways and strategies to limit electoral franchise in the state, harass, assault, dispossess, and maim the opposition with a view to rigging its way to an ever-elusive will-o'-the-wisp, or if you like, a jack-o'-lantern electoral victory. No one knows the government's plan for economic recovery and how it intends to return our children safely to school, especially those in their penultimate year of study. Let us remind Mr. Governor that the College of Education in Igworiaki still remains closed with staffs sacked. Let us remind Mr. Governor that Tayo Akpata University of Education, Ekeadolo, still remains locked up with staffs and students idling away. Let us remind Mr. Governor that the State School of Nursing still remains closed. Let us remind Mr. Governor that the Benin Technical College, whose budget is about 10 million naira per classroom, is still yet to be completed, even though this project is UBEC funded, with the federal government already paid its 60% counterpart funding. Let us remind Mr. Governor that the Gele seaport remains a mirage and a phantasmagoria, notwithstanding the millions of dollars it has gobbled in consultancy and MOUs. Let us remind Mr. Governor that the industrial park has been taken over by weeds. Let us remind Mr. Governor that there is still yet no modular refinery as promised. Let us remind Mr. Governor that although people are still yet to see the promised 200,000 jobs per year of our youths. Let us remind Mr. Governor that the Edo Specialist Hospital, which was built and equipped by Edo taxpayers' money, was given to a non-Edo indigene to manage, and that fees being charged are far beyond the reach of the average Edo person. Let us remind Mr. Governor that when Edo taxpayers' monies were being sourced to build the Edo Specialist Hospital, it was not intended to become a plutocratic contrivance. Let us remind Mr. Governor that the stadium he promised to build per senatorial district are still not commenced. Let us remind Mr. Governor that he has abandoned the Benin Water Master Stone project, which is the Aladdin's lamp out of our ecological quagmire. I am sure Mr. Governor can now understand and decipher why the majority of Edo people have stigmatized your belated political manifesto of Make Edo Great Again to meaning Make Edo Grounded Again. Please make our time, Mr. Governor, for governance. This is our humble request and plea to you this morning. And I thank you all for listening.